Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content. You can also follow us in the Freedom Zone underneath any title of the video. You can click the description box or the join button. You could join us on X in a subscription. You could join us in Patreon, or you could join us in YouTube subscription. Same price, same perks, and you get all the daily videos with 0 Google ads on them and extra content as well. And today we're going into ceasefire or World War III. We got lots of heat you need to see. Right now, $3.37 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's up 2.4. Bitcoin 105,000 plus, 2,400 plus for Ethereum. XRP is 218. And now we're up 8.1 on the 24-hour and still off 1.3 on the 7-day. Range of price very quickly here between 197 and 219. Now, you know I bought that dip over the weekend, so I'm happy about that. And I hope the rest of you had a chance to do it as well if it suited you. Here we look at this. Look, the crypto hacks on the rise. This is what closed out the December 24 at the end of this past year. This is what closed out the year. Crypto hacks on the rise in 24, and they've continued to rise in 25. Why am I sharing this with you? Because one, 2.2 billion was stolen across 303 exploits, marking 21% increase in value and 7.4% rise in exploits compared to the previous year. So it's constantly on the rise, and we know that the market is only getting bigger. So I'm showing this to remind everyone, please be careful. And if you haven't thought about what your options are, think about this one. You can open up a PCA account, a premium custody account. Listen, if you haven't opened up an IRA account at iTrustCapital, I don't know what in the world you're waiting for. You get to empower yourself. You have your own back office in your IRA. That usually doesn't happen. You can buy and sell out of the backside of that IRA, but today I'm telling you about the premium custody account, and the reason why is, number one, you get institutional grade custody, and it's free. You shouldn't have to pay for that. Anybody getting you to pay for that is you should rethink it, because it's free here. And here's the other part. Look, right now, new clients get an exclusive $100 funding bonus, but beyond that, this premium custody account is designed as a closed loop system. Let me just go into this, and I've said this the last couple times because it's gotten such a positive response from the audience, and I want you guys to understand this. And people are sending me things like, oh, I get it. Okay, then premium custody accounts with our closed loop system. Why? Because your crypto transactions stay secure. What does a closed loop system mean? It means you can go in with dollars and crypto, but when you come out in cash, in dollars. Which means at the end of the day, if you were hacked in any way, the worst thing that could happen is somebody could liquidate your account and send it to your checking account. They can't, they could sell the assets and send it right to your checking. That's the worst thing, absolute paramount worst thing that could happen. That's why it's a closed loop system. Your crypto transactions stay secure, no external wallets, no unnecessary risk, just a trusted way to buy, sell, and custody with confidence. And this is because the long-term holder that doesn't want to do a bunch of in and out of crypto, you bought one thing, you're sitting on it, this is where you want to be. A closed loop system. This is what it is. This isn't for everybody. This is for those people who understand, I just want to know that I can lay down and go to sleep and know that my stuff's not going to get hacked or taken away. And that's exactly what this provides you. Let me tell you just one more thing. iTrustCapital, to a person, spends an enormous amount of energy every day thinking about how they can continue to bring you more security, more service, and more products. I'm not even kidding. I know that. I sit in the meetings. Go to itrustcapital.com/XRP Army and use the code at the bottom of the site here, XRP6, or just click all the stuff underneath any video that we have in YouTube. Looking right here, this Thursday, Mr. Shift is going to be releasing a fascinating conversation with the one and only co-founder, executive chairman, former CEO of Ripple, Chris Larsen. And we can't wait for it. Looking very much forward to that. And here, look at this. Update, update. This just in. Update. Circle flips USDC in market cap. That's how hot Circle's running. Yeah, 258 bucks a share. I'm sitting on it waiting for the lockout period to come open. I think it's a 6-month lockout. And I'm saying, man, let's keep this thing going, and I think to that point, and congratulations to Circle for flipping the USDC market cap. They're doing extremely well out here. And if I had to venture to say, as my guess, knowing that legislation is doing so well in Congress right now and is projected to all get passed this year, and some are even saying by August, if that's the case, I believe the momentum supporting legislation for digital assets and stablecoins alike, I believe could support this IPO and the run on price that it's having. And with that being said, well, look at this. John Deaton says, I know Brad Garlinghouse said Ripple is not in a rush to go public. They certainly don't need to raise capital, which is often a primary reason to go public. But timing in an IPO is also a big consideration. If Circle can hit $62 to $75 billion market cap, then Ripple, with nearly 40 billion XRP, currently valued at $2, i.e. 80 billion, could certainly hit a 100 billion market cap in this environment. And he's absolutely right, I believe. And then adding to that, I said, this may be exactly how Ripple raises the money to buy Circle. Circle has gotten to the size now that I don't believe Ripple could buy them at this point. But if Ripple were to IPO themselves and set a record IPO, because they don't count currently the XRP and escrow on their balance sheet, but if they started to do that for an IPO, the way MicroStrategy does it, then it could be a world record-setting IPO for Ripple. And that could give them the money and the funds to buy a company called Circle. Head on a swivel. And this just in, taxis in the UAE are now accepting crypto. Abu Dhabi just rolled out crypto payments for taxi rides using AE coin and dirham-backed stable coins. How about that? And then here we see Raoul Pal talking about where this crypto market cap can actually go. And boy, is it impressive.
Fantastic. So there's a lot to dig into. And before we start, just observationally, I was out in the Middle East, last month, I think it was, and sitting down with the sovereign wealth funds. And the mandate across the entire region, from Saudi to Abu Dhabi to Dubai to Bahrain to Qatar, is AI and blockchain. And not just using Bitcoin as a reserve asset, but also building the entire government infrastructure on blockchain, driving licenses, property deeds, the whole bloody lot. So it's it's fascinating to see. And then a lot of people say to me, well, if all of this money's coming in from the sovereigns, that may produce an outside return. And I'm thinking, well, if we're going from 3 trillion to 100 trillion, which is my estimate by just extrapolating out the trend rate of growth, you need larger players each time because the market cap is bigger, right? There's no way you're going to get to 15 trillion this cycle unless you've got bigger players. So it's I don't think it's what people think it is. I think it's just a function of the size of the market. The bigger it becomes, the more that those people are involved, and the more blockchain technology gets used, the more it uses the alts for infrastructure rails for.
There it is. And the more it uses the alts for infrastructure rails, just that part again.
Blockchain technology gets used, the more it uses the alts for infrastructure rails for new forms of compute and storage and all the other things that are coming. Yep. So I just thought it was interesting because everyone's like, oh my God, it's a super cycle because of this. I'm starting to err towards, well, we've talked about this before, a longer cycle, just because the business cycle is still below 50. So generally, it takes a while to climb up, and then we use the GMI Financial Conditions Index, and that has a 9-month lead. And with the dollar breaking down even today, it's starting to suggest that this could not, this may go even into Q2 2026. So it's like the whole cycle got shifted because rates didn't get adjusted and the dollar was sideways for a period of time. So it feels that potentially there is a chance, and again, there's no guarantees in this world, that we're more like 2020 than we are in 2021.
Yeah,
Or it's it's spookily similar to 2017.
Yes, it is spookily similar to 2017, and I hope we see that kind of pop at the end of the year too. I wouldn't be upset about it, and I know you wouldn't be either. Meanwhile, let's talk about this. Representative French Hill talking about meme coins. I think they're getting ready to put something in place for that.
Yeah.
The meme coin phenomena is ultimately a decision taken by the SEC under Chairman Gensler, not solely Chairman Gensler, but it was a decision taken at that time, deeming that they weren't securities, that they were non-security tokens, and it prompted a major issuance of things like meme coins. In my view, the Clarity Act would go a long way to, I think, cleaning up that side of the market.
And I think they could clean that side of the market up. And honestly, I think it gets regulated like penny stocks. I mean, you guys know that. That's how I feel about it. But I mean, and that wouldn't hurt to have some guardrails on, on that side of the market. But let it live. That's what I say. Ripple's XRP Treasury adoption tops $1 billion across 8 firms. Let's just take a look at this really quickly here. This is one of the ways that we're watching XRP being sucked up off the market in a Shane Ellis style event. And this is just one way. Corporate treasuries, $1 billion tops across 8 firms. And the 8 firms here listed by Good Morning Crypto. Shout out to Abs and Johnny. Here they are. Trident, Weebus, Vivo Power, Wellgistics, Hyperscale, Worksport, BC Bud, and Digitalcom. That's where we're at here. $1 billion pulled right off the market across just those 8 corporates. Now factor in the almost 20 spot ETFs for XRP. Then factor in another, let's say, 50 to 100 corporate treasuries. Then factor in U.S. digital asset bond issuance for XRP and other digital assets. And we haven't even started talking about making payments every day, have we? You see where this is going to be going in short order. I can't wait. Listen to the new SEC chair, Commissioner Atkins. Shout out to him. And shout out to All In Crypto for putting this clip up, too. Give him a follow.
Great question. So this is more than just cryptocurrencies. The innovation and the potential use cases of the blockchain and distributed ledger technology, I think, is really great. So, for example, for car titles and other evidence of ownership, to put it on a transparent type of platform, such as a blockchain, can save a lot of money and make things much more efficient and less costly for governments, for ultimately for taxpayers and consumers alike. So those sorts of things. Bernie Moreno, who's a great senator from Ohio, in fact, did that before he was a senator, for example. So there's so many ways, I think, that if we can bring clarity to this area so that lawyers can advise their clients as to what is proper to do and not, and what they have to do. Things have been so unclear, and like Chairman Hill was just saying, that in the past the SEC has invited people to come in, but there are a lot of stories that as people came in to talk to the SEC, they either got no answers, or even worse, by the time they got home, they might have had a subpoena in their post office mailbox or on the doorstep.
And what a difference 6 months makes, right? What a difference 6 months makes. I mean it. Just like this. How many times we saw this picture with Nellie Liang, the Undersecretary of Domestic Finance, sitting at the table with Ripple and others, Stellar as well. How many times have we seen this picture? A ton, right? Well, then we see Nella Liang sitting here with none other than Representative Fritz Hill talking about the stablecoin and market structure bill.
Perhaps I can just start by asking, you covered a broad range of issues. One that we have worked on for years relates to digital assets, so I'm going to start there. One that we have worked on for years relates to digital assets. So, you've in the past expressed a view about the future of digital assets. You've introduced the bill stable. Now you have clarity. The Senate last week passed Genius. So just starting from a process point of view, from a procedure point of view, what's next for Congress, for the committee and then for Congress? Can you just give us an
Assuming their enactment? Is it,
or no, like how do we get to enactment?
Well, I think in the short run, the mission is to accomplish, as I noted, President Trump's goals for digital assets, which were not phrased in the same way, but were shared by President Biden, which is this is a regulatory gap that is holding America back and seeing us lose developers, investors, company founders to other markets. And so for me, in the short run, I want to honor the president's request of us from his first crypto digital asset roundtable several months ago, where he wants to have both a payment stablecoin bill and a market structure bill on his desk before the August recess. So I'm devoting all my resources in the short run for navigating what the best, most effective way to do that is. But in financial technology generally, I think you'll see the committee with that basis focus on its implementation and also focus on how writing applications on a blockchain operating system in finance, what promise that holds, along as we assess artificial intelligence and as we assess tokenization as a business strategy to lower cost, improve customer service, reduce fraud, and deliver, I think a better mix of products and services to American households at a lower cost.
And it's coming in a big way, ladies and gentlemen, no doubt about it. Here we have a post from Digital Asset Investor, and I think this is absolutely spot on. XRP yield is coming. And we know that it's certainly available to a limited extent already, but nonetheless, it is coming, and this will be a huge game changer. I believe this. What percentage yield could we get? I'm looking forward to XRP Yield Wars. Here's what Grok says about the current discussions. Recent discussions on X and web sources indicate that XRP yield opportunities primarily through lending or DeFi protocols like DopplerFi and Uphold's collaboration with Flare Networks are targeting annual percentage yields in a range of 3 to 8.7%. Specifically, Doppler has mentioned yields up to 4.5%. APY, with some posts suggesting potential for up to 8.7 for XRP holders participating in their CDFI strategies. Now, More Markets, another platform, has targeted up to 5%, and general sentiment on X yields 3 to 4.5% are realistic, with some users expressing skepticism about higher projections and hoping for at least 3. Now, web sources highlighted lending platforms MEXC offering up to 6% on smaller XRP deposits, while larger deposits may yield a lower 0.45%. Centralized platforms like Nexo and Binance offer 5 to 12% APY through lending or fixed-term saving programs, though these are not traditional staking. Now, with that being said, here is what I had said here to this, and we'll look at the price thing. XRP Yield Wars is spot on. It is the next wave of adoption and functionality, unlocking one of the largest pools of idle liquidity in the world. That's right, all of our XRP. Just like not your keys, not your crypto, XRP yield outdates old investment models. Why would anyone in this day and age ever use a financial advisor or put your funds locked in a 1 in 10 or in 2 in 20 fund where it's locked up and you can't get your capital out? With the onset of the new digital on-chain economy, these products appear that they are becoming old and outdated. What we all need is a safe way to earn yield. And make no mistake, the largest banks and exchanges and brokers are all preparing as we speak to give you the best and safest way to delegate your assets so you can set it and forget it. It's just as important for us to grow our mind along with our portfolio. The world is changing. Be ready. And this is absolutely the truth. The world is changing. And as sharp as we're all trying to be every day to stay on top of the moves for our portfolios, let's make sure that we're bringing our millionaire mindset along with it. Because if we don't, you won't be able to keep one or the other. If your mindset isn't a millionaire mindset or a billionaire mindset, then you're going to have a lot of problems maintaining your wealth. And the world is changing rapidly. And I don't know about you, but I don't want a bunch of different hands and people between me and my investments. I want me between my investments. And I'm going to get my education as such that I can delegate in safe places when it is available. I just have to be patient a little longer, because we haven't even seen the real opportunities for yield yet until the banks begin to play in this space. And when they do, this space will never look the same again. And utility will be the price driver in this space. And the yield is going to be a big way of locking up an enormous amount of XRP so people never have to sell it, and they can will it to their children's children for as long as we live and as long as this stuff is used to move value around the world. This is the new internet of value, and this is what it's starting to look like, but it isn't quite here just yet. But just you wait. Just make sure you get your mind ready so it's ready for what it looks like when it gets here. The breakout is coming. Eggrag Crypto says here, calculations looking at this. He says right here, 75% of 334 days, 95% of 334 days. So roughly the first week of July through roughly mid-September is a window to watch for, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. I say bring it on, whether it's 1150 or 40 plus. I'm ready to see a new all-time high, and I know that you are too. But one of the things that will help us keep those all-time highs and those prices up is being able to use yield to be able to delegate our assets so none of us have to really ever sell them, and have our own personal digital oil derricks working every day and every night while we sleep in our portfolio. What an idea. What a thought. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going into the Freedom Zone. I hope you'll join us. Ceasefire or War 3? World War 3. We're getting started right now. Come on in. All